It is Throwback Thursday with FMR Tarengo, the 1FFF1 show on Balls Visual Radio, coming to you across the world.
That's my favorite Depeche Mode song. It's just my favorite.
And you know, this comes off the 101 live at frickin'
Don't get me
Candles.
started.
Live at, no, was it Candlestick? No, it wasn't Candle. It was Pasadena.
Yeah, that's
Live
right.
in Pasadena.
That's right.
Oh, man.
And then there was a remix done by Shep Pettibone.
You remember that, eh?
In 1989. What a tune.
What a tune. Now, listen, it is with great delight that we welcome into the studio a man that you would have heard on Balls Visual Radio a couple of months ago, all to do with the Unogwaja challenge. And you will remember how I was just blown away by his enthusiasm, his drive, everything. And we finally got him in the studio in the flesh. He's here live. He is John McInroy. John, great to have you, my friend.
John.
How's it, Sasha and Ian? It's really awesome to be here.
Welcome.
I feel like I know you, Oaks.
Wow, no. We know you. We know you well, buddy.
Yeah.
Now, you've just come back from the UK.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
What, that I came back or that I went there?
No, that you had to go there in the first place.
Good that I came back.
Although you most probably had 1 or 2 days of summer, must have been quite
the
pleasant.
1 or 2 days of summer that they had, I was there for, so I'm very grateful.
That's good. I mean,
Fantastic.
it's all downhill from there, really, isn't it? Really? Shame. I'm nasty about them. I'm not really.
No, you lived there for a while.
I did.
Yeah.
I lived in England as well for a while.
Yeah.
My parents live in England, that's why I went to visit them.
Okay.
There we go. Get some of the pounds, bring them back.
Something like that.
Jeez, yeah.
Now, listen, maybe if you're listening to us for the first time, you're not entirely sure what the Unogwaja challenge is and how John actually fits into it. So, very briefly, just tell us what Unogwaja is and this wonderful journey that took place, which is called the Unogwaja.
Unogwaja is a Zulu word for a hare, and it was the nickname.
Not the hair like
not
like
the
I
hair
don't
that
have.
You don't have.
Yeah.
Ian's
got
decent
lots
I'm
of
all right,
hair.
I'm all right.
Yeah,
Got a
John,
bit
you
of-
also got lots of hair.
Thank you. Ian's got some gel going on there as well.
Yeah.
His
I'm just
girlfriend's a stylist.
Yeah. I mean, I needed to have some style in my life. So the difference is I've got hair. Sasha's good looking. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, right.
So it's like, okay.
Okay, so hair like a rabbit.
Like a rabbit. And,
Unogwaja.
Unogwaja, you say it awesomely. And in 1931, Phil Marston Smith, who was a guy I didn't know at the time, and I don't think many South Africans did either, in 1931 he became the youngest ever Comrades winner at the age of 19. And to run the Comrades now, you have to be 20 years old. So it's a record that will stand to this day. So I was like, that's quite interesting, Unogwaja, Phil Marston Smith. But in 1933, Phil Marston Smith lived in Cape Town, and he couldn't afford the train fare from Cape Town to Pietermaritzburg to take part in the Comrades. And
Yeah.
he didn't just give up and not take part that year.
This is the most amazing story.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He got on his bicycle and he cycled across our country and to take part in the Comrades. And obviously that feat was incredible. But it wasn't just that connected me and made my part in this journey such that we just had to do it. Was in 1942, on the 5th of June 1942, Phil Marston Smith lost his life in the Second World War. And he lost his life in the Battle of Tobruk, and that has huge connection and meaning in my journey. And I'll have to explain it to you that I started wearing red socks in 2007, and in 2007 it was because me and a good friend were working in Dublin, and we wanted to have something that we could remember each other by, something that that no matter where we were in the world, that we could think of each other. And he'd been spending a year in Dublin. He ended up falling in love with a girl and moving back to South Africa, and our paths were going separate ways. And he then shared the story about a war veteran who used to come to memorial services at Grey High School, Port Elizabeth, wearing red socks. And eventually the story came back that this man made a pact in the Second World War after he was captured in the Battle of Tobruk. And he got taken to a prisoner of war camp in Italy, and him and 2 friends said to each other, if anyone makes it back alive, that they'd wear red socks to always be together and always remember each other.
Wow.
And the moment I heard that story, I mean, it has changed the entire course of my journey. And when hearing Phil Marston Smith's story, a story about a Comrades marathon runner that on the surface has nothing really to do with me. I'm a hockey player. I used to hang by the corner of the goals and try and sneak a few goals in, and running between Pietermaritzburg and Durban and cycling. I didn't own a bike at the time. I used to cycle. I had a job as a barman in Bordeaux. I played hockey for the Bordeaux club, and I used to cycle through the streets of Bordeaux slightly inebriated, and that would probably be the extent of my cycling prowess at the time. But it wasn't about cycling. It wasn't about running. It was about this story that I was the one custodian on the planet that I had to come to, and it found its way to me, and
Incredible.
It's been an amazing journey, and yeah.
You know, it just is a fascinating.
No, it is.
story.
I'm shaking my head because this is brilliant.
It's so wonderful. And then from there, you decided to create the Unogwaja challenge.
Yeah, I mean, it created itself.
Okay.
But yes,
And you wanted to follow the steps of Marston Smith.
Yes, effectively, yes. And that was
Incredible.
5 months before the 2011 Comrades. You know, like Comrades, you've got to do qualifiers. You've got to be able to run. You know, and there's a lot of factors against us. And I mean, there was a lot of pessimism. I mean, you can imagine going. It was almost similar to the time when I quit my job, and I told my boss, and he's like, "Why are you quitting your job?" And it was recession. It was negative. Dublin was really struggling at the time, and I told him I had this dream about these Red Sox. And, you know, that incredulous look, he actually said, "You're a fucking moron." But so when we
That must have inspired you even more.
the thing is, it's not about proving anything. It's not about, it just was a story that I had to follow. It just felt it was written. And the same thing happened.
It was
when
right for you.
It was just, it was ordained, it was written. And the moment that this story of Phil Marston Smith came, it wasn't a question of practicality. It wasn't a question of, it was just a question of we're doing it. And that, when you just take that step and you completely don't know how it's going to work, people just respond, and South Africans in particular just jumped in and said, "I'm going to help the soak." And there were lots of people who didn't, but the people that did, it's been remarkable.
But I mean, so when you sit there and you go, "Okay, I've got this thing is here. I've got to go and do this," and now you go to your mates and you go, "Hey, you know what, guys? I got this fantastic idea. You know what we're going to do? We're going to go to Cape Town." Okay, everyone goes, "Oh, cool, Cape Town, chicks, Clifton, this, that, and whatever." No. You have no idea. We're going to go to Cape Town, and then we're going to get on a bicycle, and in 5 days,
10 days.
10 days, we're going to ride our bicycles from Cape Town, and we're going to go to Pietermaritzburg or Durban, but Maritzburg because of the sake of the story. We're going to ride our bicycles to Maritzburg, okay, in 10 days. And then you know what we're going to do after that? Then we're going to run the Comrades. I'm sure they must have all gone, "Wow, John, that's like unbelievable. I couldn't think of anything better to do with my time."
Of course, I mean, there's nothing better you could do.
So, I mean, they must have, first of all, thought you were crazy. And then number two, they must have said, "Okay, yeah, let's do it."
There's so many different individual stories of how people came to be involved, whether it be in our first year when we had 4 people who cycled with us, and the person who brought the story to me, Via Finsale, is a dentist from Durbanville, and I'd never met him before, and he came to me with the story of Phil Marston Smith, knowing of the unique connection that it would bring me, and then obviously that was the secret ingredient that I just went, and it's really been a story of hope, because, you know, it's without so many people in the chain, like without one of those people, this wouldn't have been possible. And like, it's just been, I mean, in the same way that we met, like we met a few months ago, it wasn't like, no one's like, it just happened. It just happened, and you felt it, and you either feel compelled to be part of the story or you don't. And the beautiful thing about it is it just connects with people in this country and now all over the world, and it tells people, like, whatever it is that you're holding inside you, that you've been fearful of, or it's unlikely, or it's this, just jump. Who cares where it leads? And there's no such thing as failure. Just go for it. And that's the thing. It's not an endurance event. It's not an Ironman event. It's not an event to prove your physical prowess. That's nothing to do with this event. It's about, and now what's happening, it's about this impact that and this message that we want to share in our country, being South Africa, but also all around the world. And
John, what did Phil Masterson Smith do? Do you know? Do you know what he did as a job? I'm just thinking
Was he just a military
just
student?
thinking about the logistics of it.
It's wild. So there's 2 really wild things and connections that I have to share with you. But one of them, and that'll give an insight to your question, is the one living relative and person who was there when Phil Marston Smith went to their folks and said, "I'm going to cycle to the Comrades." It was his half sister Biddy. She's now 91 years old, and she remembers, you know, the bike he was riding on, the state of the roads. Can you think of the mentality in the 30s? It's in between, it's just after war, it's just before the war, World War II started, but it was like the Depression years. Like the ideas of doing that kind of thing, it's like, you focus on living, focus on survival, like, don't be bloody stupid. And yet there was something in his heart that just said, I'm doing it. I'm going to go. And
But also, it's not as though he had the N2 highway to drive
no,
around
bro.
on.
but
No. There's little back roads and probably a lot of dirt along the way.
Dirt.
Must have
He
been.
would have hitched. He would have his hook or by crook. He had his bike. He had his heart. He just went. He had his tackies and all lightly.
Phenomenal.
But what's amazing is to see like Biddy, who was there, who saw it, and now I can see like the weight of her brother's actions, and now how they are alive today, and his legacy is impacting the world. It's crazy. And then listen to this. So after like Biddy's a special woman.
Yeah.
She's got like an aura, and you can always imagine Phil in her, like the spirit of this woman.
Stunning.
And so after 3 years now, we've done the Unogwaja, and we meet her every year in Maritzburg, and she's a very spiritual person. And after 3 years of knowing her, of getting to know her, I discover her birthday. And she's born on the 15th of July, 1923.
Yeah.
And I said to Biddy, you're born on the 15th of July, 1923. I said, Biddy, I'm born on the 15th of July, 1982. And I was like,
No
and
way.
I promise you. And like things like these, like it's mind blowing.
It's wonderful how this has bestowed itself upon you and how you have taken it to such a grand level, and I mean that sincerely.
Yeah.
It is something so special. And when we first spoke, I got an email and it said, okay, well, let's talk about it. And I was reading about it. I couldn't even say Unogwaja properly, and I kept on trying to get it right or whatever. And since then, this is now it's our project at Balls, for going into 2015 to be with you. I'm not saying cycle or running, but
or intimately either.
Yeah, no, but
Although he is Italian, so be careful.
Yeah,
you know what I
exactly.
mean?
Oh my God, you're Italian.
But at least I'm not Greek. Eh?
Oh, well, listen, that would be a whole other kettle of fish.
Where in Italy are you from?
Well, my mother and father from Torino and from Genova.
Genoa.
Yes.
Where on the
North.
map are we?
North.
Okay, I've got to tell you another story. This is insane.
Okay, but now hold on a second before we get into that story. The incredible thing is we're getting into Unogwaja, which finished just a couple of months ago at the Comrades, and I was just blown away that everyone did it. And we had the injuries. I think it was the German guy or lady or whatever, but there was just such a camaraderie, such an incredible spiritual brilliance amongst everybody, which seems to be incredibly driven by you.
Geez, I mean, thank you.
And the team, of course, the team. But I think a lot of them, a lot of people look up to you for that.
Thanks, I appreciate that. I think it just felt this is it's my duty. It's like my reason to be here. Like, and I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm just following that. And I think this has been an incredibly spiritual, but it's been a process that has been supported by so many people. Like honestly, I could list so many people that have had such meaningful contributions. I mean, my dad being one of them. I mean, it's been tough for us, but I mean, in our first year, I realized that the scale of what we're doing. I just think you get on a bike, we cycle, we'll make it happen. And then I was like, jeepers, there's a whole lot of things around this.
It's huge logistics.
The only oak I could think of that would just drop everything to be with me, and who had the metal and the emotion and the ability to manage such a thing, was my dad. And I phoned him, and he was on the plane, and he took 6 weeks off he lives in England, but we knew nothing. We were completely underprepared, and it was just a mountain he was faced by, but he just jumped in, and he just unconditionally, and he's one of many that have just have given such an amount that you can't quantify it. It's something that is really it's just really special, and we're all part of it.
John, where's this going? You speak with such passion. You're very convicted. You are not going to let this go. I can see it's only going to grow. People are starting to take interest now. They're being caught in your wake, and they're coming along for this journey. Where's this in 10 years? What have you planned?
I mean, geez, if you asked me 10 years ago where I'd be in 10 years, I wouldn't be sitting right here.
No, of course. No, it's an unfair question.
No.
But I mean, where do you want it to go?
To illustrate what I feel and where it's going to go, I want to explain to you a story when I was cycling in the third year of Unogwaja and near Lady Freya, which is very rural. It's very
Eastern
African
Cape.
in the Eastern Cape,
Yeah.
and it still gives me goosebumps even thinking about talking about this story. And I'm cycling, and I found myself quite dispersed from the rest of the group. And this kid comes running to the side of the road, and he's got his hands up in the air, and he's shouting "Unogwaja, Unogwaja."
She was.
To think of, I don't even know how that guy found out about or knew what was going on, but there was something inside him, and that's a small example of what this event is doing for this country and the inspiration that we want to discover, to unlock, and to allow to continue. Because what happened this year in Robertson, Day One Stop, and through the Community Chest, is one of our charities that we've been supporting. They had a whole lot of volunteers that came with along the way, and their first sort of community stop where they wanted to find out how they could help was a cancer hospice called the Breed River Hospice. And they just suddenly asked this one guy, Mkululi, he's an Eastern Cape boy, black dude, to stand up and just share how he got here, you know. And this oak stood up and just, amongst other things, said that when he was growing up, like, dreams was something that his family and the people around him were a luxury they could not afford. And like that moment, I realized, like, you know, for many people, like, dreams are something that they're just dreams. And we have so many people with hope and with inspiration and with amazing courage in this country. And this event, like, brings that out in people, and that this event makes people not give up hope. And with all these type of things happening, I strongly believe that the future of Unogwaja and the vision for Unogwaja is around education. And we want to spearhead our vision and our legacy for Unogwaja into changing and uplifting and empowering people like the guy in Lady Freer and the person in Robertson to support them. And I guess it's a crazy thing happened recently also is that I've been connected to George Bush Sr., who runs a thing called the Points of Light organization in Texas and throughout America. And he finds people of light in their communities who are doing something special for the communities, who other people within their small community are relying on. We want to find these people, and we have done through this journey. And we want to support them. And that's what the overall vision for Unogwaja is. It's around, like, I almost believe it as it's our duty, as it's like a message of hope. It's like, I mean, Tyron will share with you one of the most incredible experiences that we had this year in Unogwaja was in Umzimkhulu in KZN, and there were just local people on the banks of next to the road. And we didn't know what they were waiting for, but there was energy. There was just light and a spark, and we were like, bugger this, and we pulled over, and the cyclists were maybe a K or two behind us, and Tyron speaks a little bit of Zulu, and he attempted to try and explain the story of Unogwaja, but before he could even get into his tracks, they were just going wild. Like, maybe it's just the beauty of Tyron Barnard, but there was just excitement and love and just joy. And then suddenly, like, I went across the road because the cyclists are coming. I'm talking like hundreds of people here, like 200-300, I don't know. Easily. And then suddenly the cyclists came and they just took to the streets. And
it's amazing.
It was I just stood back and I just kept thinking of Madiba looking down and saying, you know, I've left this country and there is hope, and this is what this event is about. And we want to impact this nation.
But the wonderful thing is it's spread internationally. You know, this year you've had international people who have come along. And one can only expect it's just growing more and more momentum. And this now is most probably one of the big challenges that people want to do.
Yeah, I mean,
and journeys.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's not something that, you know, people look at like a bucket list of, you know, Ironman or this or that or whatever, and there's no disrespect to any of them. It's a different prospect. It's when you look at Unogwaja. I mean, this year we just closed the application process now. The actual step you need to take to even to want to be part of it. It's like jumping into a mission, an ongoing one. It's not just you're going to be involved in 2015. Yes, you'll be in that alumni and that team and that group of individuals, but all the people like, you know, Jabu's right here, Joff, people who jump and get involved in this journey are being part of this. They're now part of it, full stop. And the personal commitment required is incredible. I mean, we made the application process, like, you have to answer 5 quite in-depth questions on video, and you're vulnerable. Like,
yes.
You have to, and just the process has been amazing for some people. We've had people just message us saying, you know, like, thank you for the process, because it's quite it's quite an intense process for the self. I mean, it's like a journey in itself.
Self-discovery. I think a lot of it is self-discovery, you know, and just being part of it. You are privileged to be part of this like incredible journey. I think it's quite fascinating.
Amazing.
Yeah, so
Brilliant.
yeah, and to think of, like, you know, we had 4 Brazilians, and we've got you know, a lady from Hamburg, and 3 Aussies. Like, this one Aussie oak on the video, I haven't seen all of them, but this one oak, and I hope if he's listening, you know, it reminds me of Owen Wilson, and he was just talking about this journey in this filthy Aussie accent. I was like, this is just beautiful, you know, like, this is just so beautiful. This Aussie is connected to the power of the story, and I wanted to be part of it, and it's just really
Amazing.
special.
Listen, John, we could talk to you for days and
Yep.
hours and everything,
Yep.
but it's, number one, it's great to have you in the studio. And as I said to you a couple of months ago on the phone when we spoke to you, you have our 100% commitment from Balls Visual Radio for 2015. We're going to be with you guys the whole way there, and bring it to everybody across the world. As well as South Africa, but carry on doing what you're doing, your whole team, everybody that's around you. It is just something incredibly special. We'll get all of the previous videos that we've done as well. We'll post them all up together so people who may be listening for the first time get an understanding of how it started for us as Balls, and more of the insights from what you told us before as well as today. I mean, it's incredible. It's fantastic to have you here. We could talk all day, but we're going to have to let you go because you've got to catch your airplane.
No, fair enough. Got to go back to the Cape.
Lucky man.
Excellent.
I'm flying this time, though. So it's
Oh, that's okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay, flying. Yeah, prepare the journey for the going to Maritzburg next year.
yeah.
There we go. John McInroy, Unogwaja. You can find them all on Twitter. We'll have all of the videos. We'll post all of the links up on Balls as well. And you know, hopefully, maybe we get some people even more interested, get on board in terms of sponsorship and those kind of things to help you guys out for 2015. Brilliant.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for coming, my
Ian.
friend.
Thanks, John.
There we go. It's Balls Visual Radio.
The 1FF1 show on balls.co.za. Weekdays 12 p.m. to 1 p.m.